icebreaker game, come down to the front. That way you don't have to squeeze by everybody when we start. Thank you. You got it.
Can you imagine that? That'd be funny.
I would enjoy that, actually.
Maybe in my like 20th year.
Okay. All right, so we have 4, 8, 9. Oh, no. All right. 4, 8, 9. We good? We good? Huh? We good? Okay, good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Good. So we're going to start with an icebreaker this morning. We have 12 contestants, one from each team or so. I think we're missing one, but I'm not sure which one yet, so it's okay. So I need 4 of you, 2 at each table. We'll take the first 4. Clay, Sam, a little cross-country action, men's basketball, softball. Okay, good. So what you're going to do is I'm going to give you 30 seconds. You're going to flip the bottle, and however many times it lands like it's sitting right now, that's 1. Your team needs to be cheering you on as loud as possible and keeping track. Okay? Everyone good? Can everyone count? Okay. Excellent. All right, then we'll go with the next 4. Okay? So, you guys good? You ready? All right, ready, set, go. Use the camera. Five seconds. 3, 2, 1. All right, stop. How many? 2. Clay with 2. Sammy? Okay. 1. Clay, you stay over here. You're the winner from this round. All right, the next 4. Next 4. The rest of you can go sit down. Sure. Hannah and Tony are drinking some of the water. Not that much. Cheater. Typical women's basketball. No, I'm just kidding. All right. Next 4. You guys ready? I'd put the cap on, Cameron. On your mark, get set, go. 3, 2, 1, stop. All right, Hannah. Tony, how many did you have? 10, 11? Cameron, 3, I think 12 is the winner. All right, Tony, you stay over here. I think you missed your calling. All right, the last 3, you guys can step up. Are you guys ready? On your mark, get set, go. I'd pan this direction. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop. 6, 10, 7. All right, Carissa, you're staying. You two can sit back down, and we'll have Carissa. You can stay. Can you go get another bottle? And then we'll have all 3 of you guys go right here. That way you guys can watch. You can go sit down. You got 7. She got 10, I think. You got 6, Carissa. How many did you get? 10. It's all right. All right, this is the finals. Tony, Clay, Carissa. All right. Do you guys want to separate it all? Are you guys good? And I got enough space? All right. 30 seconds. On your mark, get set, go. $20 seconds. Good job, Tony. 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1, and stop. 9, 14. Tony Gaiman is the winner, men's soccer. And you get a hearty handshake. Morning, Carl. No, we can't have him talk the whole time. You want to sit there?
Yes, we're about mad jokes to share inappropriate things.
Oh, we can still do that. Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming to our first athletics chapel. Really appreciate it. Everybody coming out this morning. We're going to do things a little differently, obviously, than a normal chapel. Right now, I'm going to sit down and interview Carl Edwards. Thank you, Tyler, for replugging the mic in. So we're going to interview Carl Edwards, and then we're going to have a message from our Director of Athletics, Pete Beers. So for those of you who don't know, this is Carl Edwards, Jr., born in Baltimore, Maryland, a 2010 graduate of Lancaster Bible College. Carl is the Youth Center Director at Crossstep Ministries and was previously the youth pastor at Mount Airy Bible Church. Carl is married to Mary Edwards, also an LBC alum. They have 2 children, Macklin, who is 4, and Lincoln, who is 2. Carl was a men's basketball player during his time here, amassed 1,154 points during his 4-year, 95-game career, pulled down 623 rebounds, and averaged 12.2 points and 6.6 rebounds. Those are accurate, I promise. I caught the tail end of your career, sorry. He's one of just 22 players with 1,000 points in program history. Hopefully that changes a little this year, fellas. Herbie, what's up? Okay, so Carl, first things first, hard hitting right away. I saw your father, your wife, and one of your children at the volleyball matches here on Saturday. Didn't see you. Would you like to explain?
Yes, I work full-time and a part-time job to support my wife's spending habits, so that's why I was not here.
This is being recorded, so now she knows. Okay, good, great. So let's go back in time, August 2006, and relive some of your college days. We'll get to the Coach Beers stories later in the hour. What expectations did you have academically, and did you accomplish everything you set out to do, or were there some shortcomings?
Um, when I came to LBC, I'm not sure your journey here. I got to speak in chapel last year, but I shared this, but I didn't come to LBC until, or I applied to LBC probably until 2 weeks before classes started in the fall. So my journey here was a little bit later than most people's journey. And academically, I went to a private high school, so I thought I had a lot of head knowledge and information. But then I stepped foot into Dr. Gregory's Old Testament class, and I met reality that I didn't know as much as I thought I knew, and I wasn't as prepared as I wanted to be for LBC. I think they call it the Ally Center now, but it was called the RAP Center when I was in school. So Dr. Tucker and her team really helped me in my studies and learned that I was a kinesthetic learner and different learning techniques and studying techniques and everything. So academically, now as I've graduated in grad school here, LBC prepared me during those years, but I know my expectations, as me as a student athlete, I had to work on some things to get to where I wanted to be academically.
And on the basketball court, what did you expect versus what happened during your 4 years? Don't need to sum up everything that happened, but what some expectations and then what actually happened?
Expectation really was just to play, was to get time. I played basketball and baseball in high school, and didn't know what God was going to do with me in college. And coming to LBC afforded me that opportunity to play for a Division III school, to get experience, to learn, to be on a team, and grow. I enjoyed my time as an athlete. I don't know if you guys know, but we weren't as good as the team is now. So didn't win a ton of games, but I wouldn't trade some of those wins because of the experiences and the bonding of team and brothers that I gained and friends that I have now from that time.
And in addition to on the court, basketball and sports in general are a great revealer of things. What are some of the positives in your life that were revealed through basketball, either during your time here at LBC or as you look back now, you can see that they started here at LBC?
As I look at my life now, I'm going to be super cliche, and if I heard the question correctly, they were, like I said, we didn't win a lot of games some of those years, and it was tough. There were challenges, but as our coaching, our staff instilled in us this idea of perseverance and getting better every single day. And as I look at my life, as I look at my work and where I serve in ministry, there can be challenges, there can be tension, and this idea of persevering and not giving up when things are hard is something that still sticks with me today. We won 5 games, I think, my sophomore, and there were moments that many of us wanted to be done, that we wanted to throw in the towel and give up. And there's financial times in my marriage, there's tough things at work. When you're working with people, there's messiness of lives, and a lot of the work we do is bent towards the social work side, so it's messy, it's hard, relationships are hard, but I've learned that when you persevere and you continue to wake up each morning with mission and purpose to serve people and to meet needs and to grow, God transform you. And he, like I said, like those days were tough, but I look back at my 4 years and I look at some of the positives that come from it, the relationships and all those things, and they outweigh some of that negative that maybe transpired during those 4 years.
And not to dwell on the negative necessarily, but what are some of the negatives that perhaps you needed to work on that you learned through, whether it be sport or academically here at LBC?
Athletics is an incredible revealer of who you are and your character. I'm a firm believer in that. So, so it's probably I know attitude was a big one. Coach Beers would probably echo sensitivity. I was a sensitive person, so I didn't have super thick skin as an 18, 19-year-old kid, and there were things that he said or other coaches said that I took personal and didn't take them as challenges to, whether better my craft as an athlete. So those were some of the things I think kind of surfaced during my athletic career, and those are some of the things, some maybe character weaknesses or whatever that I've tried to work on and be better as a young man and as a leader now.
And along somewhat those same lines, are there things that you know now that you wish you knew as a student athlete 10, 12 years ago?
Wow, it's probably a lot of things, but can I tell a Coach Beer story? Am I allowed to do that? Okay, good. No, he can stay in here. So this was my freshman year. It was on this side of the court. I don't know what number of practice, but I was still obviously new to LBC and learning about this guy over here. And basketball players will know this terminology, but there was a period of time where Coach was at the top of the key, and he said, he was talking to us, and he said, if you guys give up inside penetration, you lose your salvation. And I stopped first. I was just like, what is going on? Like, I didn't know that you could lose your salvation like this, at least the denomination I grew up in. Right? So I'm looking at this guy, and I'm just like, are you allowed to say this at this institution? And it just reminded me, that, as a leader, as a coach, as a person that influences people, vulnerability, relationship, humor, all of those things kind of can help you build trust and help you build relationship and people. So as I look back at my time, there's probably a lot that I would do differently. I spoke in chapel last year, and I said there were some things I could have done differently. I think I would have been more present, in the little things and not worrying about so much about future. I think I missed a lot of opportunities to invest in people and to build relationships or to grow friendships. I missed out on a lot of opportunities, and even just to serve here in Lancaster locally. So if I could do some things differently, I would probably pinpoint those opportunities.
We're looking for some new signage in the locker room, so I'll bring that one up. That's great. Turning gears a bit, I think most people would call you a passionate, caring person. How have you developed that passion for your job and in your life, and how could you tell our student athletes to channel their passion into their team or their field of study here at LBC?
I think passion comes from your strengths and the things that you like to do. I just believe that passion comes from that. So if I look at myself and I think about the things that I'm passionate about people, I'm passionate about students, and I'm passionate about meeting needs. I think throughout Scripture you see that's the way that Jesus lived his life. That's how he modeled his life in the New Testament. So I looked at my strengths, I look at things that I was good at, and I think the Holy Spirit worked, and those are the things that I pursued in a career. So I think you all as students have the time and the opportunity, being college students, to do that. What are the things that you like to do? What are the things that give you joy? What are the things that are life-giving to you? And are you passionate about those things, whether that's as an athlete, whether that's in work, whether that's in the classroom? I would challenge you to focus on those things, not to ignore weaknesses by any means, but to focus on those things and pursue opportunities in your life, your study, classes, to grow in those things. I'm sure you've probably heard of the Strength Finders test. A lot of that, things I'm saying, come from that mindset of doing those things that you're passionate about and you can grow in and learn from and focus on those areas.
And in terms of respect and using your experience as a college athlete, how would you teach respect and explain it to a college student of today?
When I think of respect, it boils down really to two words. And the first one is awareness, and the second one is trust. We know what awareness means, right? It's a knowledge of something. It's a knowledge of a particular situation. Thinking about a teammate relationship, or even in the cultural standpoint too, when you have an awareness of someone, where they come from, their background, their history, respect can be built, even respect on differences. And the same thing with trust. There's a pastor, his name's Craig Groeschel. He says, where there is no trust, there is no connection. which I think is a great quote and is very true. But I would even switch the word connection and trust and say where there is no connection, there is no trust. So it's hard to respect someone, it's hard to know someone if there's no connection, if there's no relationship being built, if there's no time being built. I say this about my wife all the time. I can't grow to love my wife or get to know my wife if I don't spend time with her, if there's no relationship being built, if there's no conversation. So respect has to be built with trust and connection and awareness. That's how I would define that and teach that.
Great. And the final question here for you, Carl, and it'll lead us into Mr. Beers we'll be discussing. As an alum and a supporter of LBC, but still on the outside looking in, even though you don't come to volleyball matches, what is your... So they're serving you, but you can't come watch. Okay. I'll let you. Jackie's taller than you. What is your view of LBC athletics, specifically the passion and the respect of this group as a whole?
I think I base my view on the people who sit in the stands. I love coming to LBC games. I'm biased towards basketball. That might be the issue we're facing here. But I love all of you student athletes. But when I was in school, there was broken relationships, I think, between athletics and the student body. And to see how far we've come as an institution and as an athletic program, I think it speaks to your character and to your influence on this campus. And that's amazing. And I love that. I love coming to games and seeing triple, quadruple the amount of people that came to watch my games. And again, it's you all who are influencing people. It's you all who are walking the hallways, who are walking the sidewalks of this institution and making those connections and that impact. So I love what I see. You're absolutely right. My dad, who lives an hour and 45 minutes away, comes to a lot more games than I do. And it's because of you guys. It's because of the commitment you have, the dedication you have to this program and to your work habits and your work ethic. He loves that, and we love that as a family. The Edwards family is forever changed because of the athletic program and also because of Lancaster Bible College. And I have a 13-year-old nephew who wants to come here and play. What you know what I mean? So it's all of those things. Lancaster Bible College had a big impact on our family, and specifically being an athlete here in the past, it's obviously made an impact on my dad as well. So.
Great. Well, I want to thank Carl for coming this morning, and we'll turn it over to Mr. Beers.
Okay. I just want to say Carl Edwards is a encouragement to anybody who, when you look at players, he said you had stories, and there's probably more stories he could share, but there was a lot of things that people loved about Carl Edwards that his weaknesses got revealed on the court, and how he responded and how he grew from that and how we developed a relationship and grew through those times, and to see where it went to is such a huge encouragement to a coach, because I think sometimes there's probably a love-hate. I loved him, he hated me kind of mentality. But I think it's something that you all know, you all go through, and unfortunately you can't hide when you're on this court or when you're on the field. You get revealed. So just something, I appreciate Carl, and I'm glad you could be here today. So thank you. I hope you enjoy this kind of atmosphere. We've been trying to do this for a while and wanted to have some time with you. I'm going to give a challenge a little bit, but first thing I want to do is I want to bring, is Kirsten Hatch here? Nope, good. Just tell her she lost out on this. But Miranda, I want you to come forward, and Tyler Norris, I want you guys to come forward. Yeah, so you can get on Kirsten later. So come on up. Obviously, as you can tell by their expressions, they have no clue what I'm about to do to them. I do plan on embarrassing them very quickly. Come over. Okay, really, I don't want to embarrass, but I do want to put them on the spot initially. And it's really how I want to start my challenge today. I want to ask you guys some questions, and they're going to be, and I'm going to ask it, they're going to be thought-provoking questions, but I want you to just respond based on what you think initially. All right? So when you hold the mic, make sure you put it under your chin so that people can hear you. Okay? All right? Can you guys all hear well? Okay. So we're going to start. So my first question is, do you think everyone has a passion?
Yes.
Yes.
For the record, I say no. Do you think everyone has something they are passionate about?
Yes, I think so.
Yes.
Why do you think passion is important?
Yes.
Why?
I think passion is important because it gives you a drive to like everything you do, and without it, I don't think you're truly living or doing as much as you could.
I think it's important because you can't be successful without passion. You really have no direction for your life without passion, and you're not going anywhere.
Good. So now I don't have to preach because you guys got it. So let me get personal. Give me your passion.
I would say that my passion is, yeah, I do. Just like getting to know people through the things that I enjoy doing, like through sports, getting better every day at just sports, at life, relationships, people, and of course in my relationship with Christ. Yeah.
I'm very similar. I'm really passionate about relationships, especially my relationship with Christ, and I'm really passionate about sharing that with others. So.
Good. So let me stay on that for a second. So, what part of your life evidences those passions?
I think like whatever you spend your time doing is pretty evident on what you have passion in. If you like love a sport, you're gonna practice it and you're gonna want to get better and you're gonna spend a lot of your time doing that. Like if you have people that you want to invest in, you're gonna actually spend time with them. If you can say that, oh, I want to be a better teammate, but if you don't ever do anything with your teammates outside of practice, I feel like you're probably not actually passionate about that. So I think whatever you spend your time doing is a good evidence. What do I spend my time doing? Well, I play a lot of two sports, so I feel like I do a lot with sports. I've been really challenged this season to spend time with teammates outside of practice, and that's been really cool. Just having one-on-one time with each of you guys, and yeah.
I think that my character shows that I really care about people, and I really try to be intentional with my relationships. Getting lunch with guys and just getting to know them, or just things like that.
Last question. How many passions do you think you can have at one time?
I don't know. I mean, do you have an answer?
I think that there can only be one thing that stays at like the center and the core of your life. So as far as like a main passion, you can only have one, but a lot of times you can have things that work together and align with that passion. So for me, my main passion is my relationship with Christ, but basketball fits into that. So.
Yes.
Okay, well, thank you. I actually have a gift certificate for $25 to Sheets for you. So as bad as it was, You can get a whatever from Sheets, all right? It's a good opening. It's a good something to think about. I don't know how you would answer if you were up here having to be asked what your passion is. You can tell who the freshman was. You can tell who the senior was. The senior preached at you. The freshman just said what he thought. So I think it's kind of an interesting dynamic there. But I want to tell you that when I look at passion, I think it's something that if I was to give a scripture verse that said it, I would go to Colossians 3. And Colossians 3:23 says, "And whatsoever ye do, do it heartily as to the Lord and not to men." And I'm going to say this to you heartily. I'm going to take a little bit, I don't know if I'm taking this word, but I think it's something that could be said is with passion. And I think too often, as Tyler kind of said, I'm not sure how many passions you can have. I really don't know. But I do think I'm a little bit more simple-minded, and I can only focus on one thing at one time because it has my heart. And so a lot of what I do is focused around one thing and one thing alone. But as both Tyler and Miranda said, I think when we look at it, you start developing something that says, this passion is for something. Hopefully, we hear the quote, it's for an audience of one. I think that's something that I think when you do something, that's what I think Colossians 3:23 says, is you're doing it for the Lord and not for men. Yet most of our life, I'm going to say this to all of us, most of how we act is dependent on what others around us are doing. And I think that's where I just want to take just a couple minutes and talk to you about what I think passion is. And when you say everyone has passion, I'm going to disagree. Because I think some people are still looking for what their passion is. I think Carl said some good thing. Hey, we go towards our strength. Not bad. But I also think, I'm going to say this, I think passion can be developed too. I think it's something that you grow with. It's not just something that, sometimes I have this love, but sometimes I learn this love as I go through struggles, or I go through times that things are a little bit tougher. So my first point, passion is the fuel that drives us to do what we want to accomplish. It's the fuel. I think, Tyler, you might have said that. I think it is something that energizes, it pushes. I don't know if you have anything like this. If you play games and you realize like, oh, I just spent 3 hours playing this game. But I think when you have something you're passionate about, time is irrelevant. Time is inconsequential. And I don't know if you get lost doing something. Sarah Wilcox is sitting in a meeting right now for me that I'm supposed to be on. And yesterday she walked in and she goes, tell me it's not 3:30. Like the day had gone so quickly that you just realized time flew. I think another thing with passion is cost is irrelevant. Most of you are not parents. Hopefully all of you are not parents. But you have parents who are passionate about you. And when they're passionate about you, they're going to make decisions that cost is not the issue. They will do whatever it takes to get you what you need. Hey, you want to go to this camp? You want to be in this tournament? You want to do AAU, et cetera, et cetera. The sacrifice that goes in by parents to make these things happen is irrelevant. And another point is sacrifice is not felt like, it's not felt when you're passionate about something. You're not dreading having to work hard. Now, I'm not saying you don't dread working hard, okay? I try to work out every morning, and I go in the gym at 5 o'clock in the morning, and I can't tell you I'm very happy ever walking into the gym at 5 o'clock. But let me tell you something. Walking out at 6 o'clock, people say, hey, how you doing? And I'm like, I'm leaving. I'm great. This is the way I operate. I don't know anybody who looks at something and says, hey, this is going to be hard, so let's have fun with it. Like, you can do that, but most time it's like a dread. But if you make things work and give everything you have in it, you will never leave disappointed in the effort you gave. I'm going to say that. And I think that's where passion grows. I think the other part is struggles are something you can deal with as well. We have runners who are setting personal bests. I can tell you that they're on a program that isn't going to, hey, every day we set a personal best. No, they have ebbs and flows to their training so that they're looking at peaking at certain times. Same thing with most of your teams. You guys are going in certain things that you're working to get better so that at the end of the season, you're peaking when you need to be peaking best. So passion's the fuel that drives us to what we want to accomplish. The second thing is sustaining passion can be measured by our purpose. I'm going to say this to you. I want to say this very nicely. I think there's nothing more important in the world than playing sports. Oh, I can't believe I said that. And you will have everybody else tell you that, no, it's not the most important because you're not going to be doing it the rest of your life. You're exactly right. They are exactly right. You will not be doing this the rest of your life. So while you're doing it, make it the most important thing in your life. I know you're a student athlete. I know that. I know that student comes first. But I know, well, I believe, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that your purpose and your impact is huge when you have the opportunity to impact sport. I'm telling you, if Christ was the only, if you playing sports is the only Christ people see, is it worth it? Is your effort worth that? And I think too few of us don't think one blessed thing about the Lord when we get on the court. We think about how we feel. We look at our opponent. We look at what's going to be there. And then we base what we're going to do based on how we're going to look. Well, we're just going to get beat. Well, we should roll over them pretty easy. And that's where I feel like, I'm just saying this, I know I'm getting a little animated, passionate. But I think lack of if we don't have purpose, it will extinguish passion. Because you have feelings. I mean, I think sometimes people date, and they're all excited about dating someone, and then they date for a while, and then it's like, it fizzles. So I think passion's a feeling, but I think when you have true passions, struggles and adversity doesn't make you quit. Struggles and adversities makes you try harder, makes you pursue this even more with more oomph that says, I'm going to get this. So I asked a question. What happens if my passion ends up in failure? Is that even possible? I asked my kids this yesterday and my mom, and they're like, what does that mean? Because what we don't define failure as necessarily what the world defines failure. But I'm going to tell you this. Most of you know who Tim Tebow is, right? Tim Tebow won the Heisman Trophy. He's a quarterback of Florida Gators. Won the Heisman Trophy in 2007. Was drafted in the first round in 2010 by the Denver Broncos. Played a little bit, led his team to the playoffs. Won the first round, I think, against the Steelers. I think the score was 3-2, or it wasn't. It wasn't. It was a low-scoring game, though, because he didn't do much. But anyway, he gets traded or gets released. I think got traded to the Jets. Anyway, he goes through, gets cut. A couple years later, he gets drafted signed by the Patriots, and he's on the Patriots for 12 days, and they release him. If anybody knows what Tim Tebow went through Tim Tebow would spend between 12 and 15 hours a day working on his body, working on his craft to make him an NFL quarterback. 12 to 15 hours a day for, let's go 5 years, from 2010 to 2015. And then gets released. Is he a failure? Or did he fail? When Tim Tebow was released, he said, I'm blessed because of my faith that I don't have to worry about my future because I know who holds my future. Like, you think about the perspective, the audience of one that Tim Tebow had at the time of, if you want to say, greatest failure for him. Everything he had pursued to say, I want to be an NFL quarterback, was basically said, nope, you're not good enough. I hear Tyler brought it out, but I think at the end of the day, when you live for an audience of one, when you are focused on your relationship with Jesus Christ, then it helps you with how you live your life. It helps you focus that, hey, when I come out, I'm going to give my best effort. I'm not thinking spiritual right now, okay? But spiritual is what propels me, okay? If Tyler can't hit a jumper, if Miranda can't catch a ball, if she can't hit it, or she can't do whatever it is that we do, guess what? Our platform is minimized. And so we might say it's a passion, but it's not reflected as a passion because there's going to be a competency that we have in relation to where we are. Our purpose will give fulfillment to the journey. The greater the purpose, the greater the fulfillment. And I think going right along with that is determination will enhance your passion. If you never struggle, I don't see how your passion grows. Because you don't have, it's just, everything's good. I don't know, you've had those things. If a class that's really easy and doesn't challenge you, you take it, it was fine. Like easy A. Easy A. What does that mean? What will you take with that? But the professor that challenges you, he pushes you, she pushes you, that make you think, who takes your piece of work that you spent hours on and says, this isn't good enough, those are the ones that are going to bring you back that you'll remember later on. They're the ones who are going to increase to say, hey, I wanted to learn because this coach, this teacher, this person challenged me on a regular basis. Carl talks about it. Every day, get better. Here's how I want to close. Our passion is revealed through respect. Tito's cleaning my hallway outside my office the other day. This is probably a week ago, 2 weeks ago, I don't know, I remember. And I was asking him about his season. And he shook his head, he was talking some things, and like, we don't have the passion we need. Something along those lines. But he used the word respect. Remember this? Do you remember this? Okay. Something about competition brings out a desire to be your best. Originally, competition meant to strive together, something to make us better. I'm going to say this to you. I want to say this very nicely. I don't say many things nicely, so maybe it won't come out nicely. If you don't give your best, I don't see how you can be respectful to the game. If you don't sacrifice, if you don't discipline, if you don't make, I'm not saying you don't make mistakes. I'm saying we will make mistakes. But I'm saying if you don't do things to make your game better, if you're not committed to your teammates, if you're not committed to the game, if you're not committed to respecting the game, I do not understand how you can have what you say is respect or passion. This is just me, okay? But I'm telling you, I look at each one of you and say, do we bring it on a regular basis? Do we bring it every day? Here's what I'm going to close with. My job is not to worry about the future, but to live today. I think that's what Carl said. If I was to live today, I would focus on being present. My job is not to worry about the future, but to live today with determination and passion. If we live our life with passion, if we live a life that whatever we do, we will do heartily as to the Lord, if we live for an audience of one, then, and only then, can we find fulfillment. As we leave today, let us leave with determination to be passionate people who seek to make a difference in this life. I'm going to close today with a quote from Martin Luther King. And this is what I think. We talked about respect. Carl talked about awareness and trust. Relationships were mentioned today. But let me close with Martin Luther King, one of the greats. For all of us today, the battle is in our hands. The road ahead is not altogether a smooth one. There are no broad highways to lead us easily and inevitably to quick solution. We must keep going. Each one of you have challenges that you have to face, whether it's on your team, whether it's in school, whether it's in relationships, whether it's with the outside world. May I challenge you today to be a person of purpose. May you focus on doing things for the Lord and not worried about the praise of men. All right, let's close in prayer. Father, thanks so much for this time. I thank you for each student athlete that's here. I thank you for their dedication to their sport. And Lord, I just ask that you might help us today to be renewed, to focus more on what you would have us be. And may we strive to be our best. Lord, we do it for you. We love you. And we ask for blessing on the rest of this day. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you. You're dismissed.